Axiom-4 mission to the International Space Station carrying Indian astronaut Shubhanshu Shukla and 3 others has been put off for the time being as engineers sought more time to repair a leak in the SpaceX's Falcon-9 rocket. SpaceX also announced that it was quote-unquote standing down from the Falcon-9 launch of the Axiom-4 mission to allow repairs of the liquid oxygen's leak identified during the post-static booster inspections. Now, SpaceX has posted, let me quote them here, that standing down from tomorrow's Falcon 9 launch of X4 to the space station to allow additional time for SpaceX teams to repair the liquid oxygen's leak identified during post-static fire booster inspections. They further wrote, let me quote them again here, that once complete and pending range availability, we will share a new launch date. So that's with the latest that has come in, of course, from the SpaceX with regards to a delay or the postponement of the current mission. But let's discuss the importance of it. Srijan Pal Singh, CEO and co-founder, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Center, is joining us here at the top of this hour at News 9. So thank you so much for speaking to News 9. First up, the main question everybody has been asking, where does it put India globally? Why Axiom-4 and an Indian on board on top of that is so crucial for us?
Thank you for having me, and good morning to all of you. I think it's an extremely important step because our Axiom-4 mission is not just about sending our astronaut into space or to ISS, International Space Station. It is also the precursor to the mega project of India, a very ambitious project of Gaganyaan, which will happen probably towards next year. And the idea of sending Group Captain Shukla to the space would have given us and will give us eventually when we do it, an experience in terms of how to handle space conditions, how to handle microgravity, how to test out the equipment, while the rocket system which he is using is Falcon-9. But most rocket systems tend to be similar. So the experience of being able to handle complicated equipment aboard a spaceship is something which would be extremely critical. The physical training part of Group Captain Shukla to prepare towards this launch would be extremely crucial as well. And of course, from a historic perspective, India deserves its position at the International Space Station. It is the country which is pursuing the Bharat Antariksh Station, which will happen by 2035. So visiting International Space Station is also a precursor towards 2035 Bharat Antariksh Station, which we are planning. So all those things put together, I think it is going to be a historic moment. And it will not only be historic from the perspective of ISRO or our space launches, but also in terms of motivating our youngsters, our young people in either colleges, schools, to pursue this career in space. So all those things are crucial. And this is just the beginning. I want to tell everyone that this is by no means, unlike other countries, it is not just a trip to International Space Station, but a preparation towards a much, much bigger mission, which is the Gaganyaan.
Also, Mr. Singh, I want to understand from you that after almost 4 decades, we are sending anybody to space. And for the very first time, somebody to the space station. And it's not only like that we are hitching on a ride to someone else's mission. It's like we are also expanding our own arena in terms of the space research. What importance does that hold?
Well, this is the first Indian passport holder. There have been Indian origin people who've been there, like Sunita Williams. But he's the first Indian passport holder going there. There are certain very crucial experiments also he's performing. He's not just an astronaut or an Air Force pilot. He's also donning the hat of a scientist by doing several experiments, many of them belonging to ISRO, but also other countries. There are approximately 60 experiments to be done belonging to 30 different countries. And some of those countries are really small countries, their first sort of a venture into space. In terms of what experiments which Shubhanshu would be doing would include things like seeing the growth of small plants like methi and moong in space. He'll be studying microalgae, which is extremely important. These are not only important from the perspective of food, but also in terms of generating oxygen. So that's very important. He would obviously be studied in terms of the effect of a 14-day stay. He'll be there for 14 days on the human bone structure, the muscular structure, which is a very important medical data. So like that, there are several experiments which are being conducted by him in the 14-day period. In that period is also we're going to be talking to a lot of youngsters over radio communication. So those things are important to us. And I again say that these are obviously the kickstarter to our own individual ambitions. The International Space Station is a conglomeration of several countries, the big giant economic powers of the world. We are going there to study how that has been, the International Space Station itself is operating. And these crucial experiments would be then have to be replicated or learned from or inspire something even bigger when we do it all by ourselves. And that is the Gaganyaan project I was telling you about, which is only about a year away.
Absolutely, absolutely. Also, with regards to the joint venture, in partnership with NASA, how important would it be for ISRO this time around? Because like you have correctly mentioned that this study and this particular visit to the space station is going to benefit us in a way for Gaganyaan as well. So what about the partnership between NASA and ISRO? Because we have partnered for multiple projects, not only this one.
See, NASA and ISRO have partnered on multiple projects. ISRO has partnered with the ESA and many other space agencies. In fact, one of the most critical partnerships of NASA and ISRO happened during the Chandrayaan-1 mission, when NASA, one of the equipments of NASA, went aboard our Chandrayaan-1 mission. This is 2008, and it was able to detect water on the moon for the first time. So we enabled NASA to do that research. So ISRO and NASA are walking shoulder to shoulder in many missions. And this is just one example of it. See, the International Space Station is, in all fairness, it's an aging equipment now. It's only going to be there for a few years. It has to be eventually decommissioned. And there will be a time by 2035 when India and China would be only two countries which will have space stations. So I think even for it's not just for ISRO that this is important, it is equally important for NASA. And it's not just NASA here. We've got SpaceX also involved. The entire launch is being done by SpaceX. Axiom, which works on space equipment, on habitation in space, that company is also a part of it. So it's ISRO, NASA, which are these are government organizations, and a bunch of private organizations which are also coming, which is Axiom and SpaceX, and also others who are doing the tests. So this is a new era in a way where India would be one of the most prominent powers in space and would walk shoulder to shoulder with Roscosmos, which is the Russian space agency, or NASA, which in the past were leading the space research in the world.
Absolutely. And back here at home, looking at, like you have said, an Indian passport holder on board, en route to Indian, International Space Station. How, exactly is that going to give a boost to the interest that people have, specifically in the space tourism sector as well?
Yeah, I think an Indian, when this launch happens, maybe in a couple of days or so, see, the entire nation is looking up to, all 150 crore people are looking up to this launch. We have to look at the background of our astronaut. Group Captain Shukla comes from a very middle-class background, a Lucknow boy who has studied his way through, cleared examinations, and through a path which had many turns and twists. He has ended up now being India's first astronaut into the International Space Station. So it's a beautiful path, and I think it inspires so many people across India that, if he could do it, then so could I. In fact, in one of the interviews on your show, which we were having, where we were seeing his intro video, he mentions that how he himself was inspired by Wing Commander Rakesh Sharma, which all of us have read in our books. So it's one success inspires a whole generation, that kind of a model. And I think any Indian, especially a young Indian who's watching the show, it's rare that a country now has the economic and the technical know-how. India has it now, and you are the first generation which will have it, who can inspire to actually become an astronaut. So I think this will inspire a generation of Indians. It will inspire new research, and as you mentioned, a whole industry walks with it. So it's the space tourism industry. You know that in US. It is becoming one of the growing industries.
Absolutely.
And not only just space research, but also space-based equipment and space-based testing, experiments. All those sectors would come together. I think it's phenomenal to see that.